Welcome to episode, you hear that pop? Episode 25. We are a quarter of a century old, right? We're
quarter of a century.
I'm not actually sure what a century means, but I hear people say a lot. I think that's 25 or 100th century, right?
Hundreds of centuries.
Centuries, 100.
So we are 25. Look at us. We're getting up there in years. Also, this is Paul's 10th episode. Everyone, round of applause for Paul. Yay!
Yeah.
Paul.
Slow clap.
All right.
John Cena.
Yeah. How have you guys been doing?
Good.
man.
Good? Good?
Yep.
Good.
Ready to talk about some Terminator today?
Terminator.
But
I was so disappointed when he said, "I'll be back." I was like hoping it'd be like a dope line.
that's what this is from, right?
Yeah.
I know, yeah,
that's
that's what
the
I'm saying. I was waiting
original.
for that line the whole time, and he said it, and I was like,
How to be
"What?"
back, yeah.
I don't know. It just came like at a really random time for me.
Yeah.
It made sense.
It's kind of it.
And then
yeah.
the "Hasta la vista, baby." I was waiting for that one the whole time too. That was cool. I like
That's
that
a good
one.
one.
That was
Season
satisfying.
two.
That was satisfying to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
All right, fellas, what we've been watching?
Yes.
Okay, so I watched a movie called Poop on a Stick. What was it called?
That's a good movie.
That's a wonderful movie.
Dang it! I literally just had it.
Okay, Luke, what did you watch?
I don't
Poop on a
know.
All right,
Stick.
I'll think about it.
So this is a first for Luke. I have not watched no movies besides Terminator 1 or 2 this week.
Neither did I.
Boo!
I don't know
Yeah,
how. When
slacking.
did we last record? Was it Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah, a week ago.
Okay,
Bro.
so I guess a week. Yeah. So I mean, I watched 2 movies. I watched Terminator 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
I
would
did
like
watch
to
a
take
movie.
this
I
moment
forgot.
to publicly shame you.
Did you really?
I watched a movie.
Yeah, man.
I watched Terminator Dark Fate yesterday or Saturday.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So 3 Terminator movies.
Yeah, sort of.
Sort of.
I watched 1 and 2 like a week ago.
Yeah,
I watched
that's
them
right.
early because I was watching them with Jana.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Which is allowed.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's kind of allowed.
And so I was. I've also
Whatever.
seen those movies many more times than you guys have.
No doubt. Also valid.
It was very true. I think we're both first timers.
No doubt.
Did you figure out your movie,
Yes,
Mr. Poop
it's
on a
called The Saint.
Stick?
Yeah,
Val
with Val
Kilmer.
Kilmer.
Yes.
What'd you
Okay.
think?
I liked it. I remember vaguely watching it as a child because my dad had it in the DVD closet, like
Yeah.
on the top shelf,
Yeah, dude.
where like the adult movies are at.
Uh-oh.
Uh,
That's where the Star Wars movies were at, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's like PG-13, so
Yeah.
it's like the kind of adult
Yeah.
movies.
Ooh.
And there's like a dark corner over here that like never sees the light of day. Those are like the rated R movies. Which shout out to my dad, funny guy. Anyway, The Saint. It's a pretty cool movie. Have you ever seen it?
I don't think so. I've only seen one Val Kilmer movie.
He's like a master
Batman
thief.
Forever.
That's funny. You never
Exactly.
seen Tombstone?
Okay, yeah, I've seen
Oh,
so too.
okay.
I've seen
Okay.
Tombstone.
Okay.
Sorry. I always
Redemption.
forget.
Redemption.
Yeah, he
Yeah, so he's a master thief, and he takes on different identities whenever he goes
Oh wait,
different places.
hold on, sorry. 3. We watched Heat.
Yeah, he's in Heat. I forgot about that.
Okay, sorry, continue.
He's the ponytail guy, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Ponytail guy.
He's a master thief.
He gets shot pretty early. Anyway, he's a master thief, and he takes on different identities, and every time he changes identities, it's like a name of a saint.
Of a saint.
And
Yep.
he ends up like wanting to max out at like $50 million or whatever, and there's this lady he has to steal these like scientific formulas for the Russian government or something.
Yeah.
And he ends up falling in love with this girl but has to steal the stuff from her anyway, and then they like break up or whatever.
Oh.
They get back together at the end, so spoiler alert.
Oh, what the
But it's all set in like post like Cold War Russia, so it's like
That's
Russia's
cool.
trying to like build themselves back up after the Cold War.
So Val Kilmer with a Russian accent.
So Val Kilmer's American, but he
Nice.
does
Yeah.
he does a Russian accent in the movie. He does Australian. He plays like an old creepy guy. He plays like a
And he's
Spaniard
he's
at
good
one
at disguise.
Yeah.
point. So he changes like his costume all the time and
Oh,
like,
that's
different
cool.
like wigs and accents.
Makes
and
me
stuff.
think of how Robert Downey Jr. did it in the Sherlock Holmes movies.
yes, and Sherlock too, right?
Yep.
You ever seen Master of Disguise?
Yes.
It's like that, but not funny. You know.
Oh, okay. You've seen a couple movies with some pretty good premises the last couple of weeks. Seven and
Seven was
Saint.
really good, and Saint, and they're both older. I think Saint is 1997 or 8, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, not
And
sure.
Seven's like early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
So
Neat.
going old school.
Yeah, dude.
And then actually, Callie and I went to the movie theater with the intention of seeing
What?
Dark Fate,
Yes, what the movie?
but we ended up seeing Harriet instead.
Oh, the Harriet Tubman
and
movie.
it was really good. I was actually really surprised.
I had not even heard of it until
didn't
I was
either.
walked by it to go see Dark
Yeah.
Fate.
I had never heard of it, and then Callie was like, "Let's go to the movies," and I was like, "Okay, I need to go to the movies anyway." And I was like, let's watch Dark Fate. She was like, no, let's watch Harriet. And I was like, okay. I'm not going to, like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not worth fighting over. So let's go watch Harriet, whatever. I was like, okay, I like history. So we walk in there. I didn't really expect hardly anything. I was like, maybe a 5 out of 10 for this movie. Because most history movies suck. Like,
That's fair.
a lot of history movies are really poorly handled.
That's fair.
There's some out there that are amazing. Like some of my favorite movies of all time are history movies. But this one was really well handled. It's a really dicey topic, you know, of slavery, and it's set like pre-Civil War, so it's like super dicey with like the South and the North and everything. And I thought they handled it really well without being like over the top dramatic and making it like a bigger deal than like it needed to be. Like it was like implied like really heavily, obviously. But she was like really, really cool in the movie. They did a great job with her character and doing all kinds of different like cool like cinematic things that they usually kind of shy away from in history movies. So I liked it a lot. It was pretty cool. It pretty much just follows her around from when she's a slave until she gets like to the north for like her own freedom, and then she decides to go back down and start bringing slaves.
Underground Railroad.
Railroad. Yeah, and then it ends kind of like the end of her life. So it kind of just goes from age, I don't know, 20-ish to however old she was at the end, 90 something. So it jumps like 50 years in the middle or at the end. So.
Yeah.
It's a cool movie. I don't know what I'd give it. Probably like a 7.5, 8, something like that.
Really?
It was solid.
Okay.
Really solid. I enjoyed it.
Who's the actress that played Harriet?
I'd never heard of her before.
No
I'd
big names or
never even
anything?
seen her before.
Let me
But
use my Google machine real
She
quick.
looked a lot like Harriet Tubman. Like they showed a picture of at the end of the movie.
Oh,
Harriet Tubman.
not the actual Harriet Tubman.
She looked a lot like her. There were a couple of actors and actresses that I recognized in the movie. I don't remember their names off the top of my head. Like they weren't like big time actors or actresses.
Cynthia Erivo? I don't know that one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't really know anybody in the movie.
Yeah.
Or anybody involved in the movie at all. Didn't know any directors or writers or anything. So it was fun though. It was a fun, pleasant experience to go to the movie theater without ever having even seen a trailer or knowing anything about a movie and just sitting down and watching a movie. I thought that was really fun and refreshing. I don't get to do that very often.
Poster is pretty terrible looking.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest poster I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's interesting. It looks...
It's about on par though. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 70, so you're pretty on par with what everyone else thinks.
Like I said, I walked into that movie completely blind, and that does not happen very often. Most movies I see, I've
how'd you see the movie then?
On. Well, exactly. I was blindfolded. But no, I literally knew nothing about the movie at all beforehand, other than the name was Harriet, so I assumed it was about Harriet Tubman.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Neat. I don't think this movie had very much advertising.
No,
I had not heard anything.
I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, like I said, I just saw it like pass by the sign as I was walking.
The sign at Tinseltown was like the white like piece of paper with the typed in words.
Yeah.
This is clearly not a very big deal.
We got Zombieland. We got The Lighthouse. We got
November
Terminator.
Turned out to be like a flippin' blockbuster.
There's actually quite a few.
Dark Fate, Harriet, if you want to count it. The Motherless Brooklyn thing apparently is like really popular.
Oh yeah,
I've heard a lot of people talking about that.
I'm not
Ed
sure.
Norton.
Okay.
I've seen a few like
Midway comes out next week.
Yeah.
Ford vs Ferrari is the week after that.
Yeah.
Knives Out I think is the week after that. Which
Yeah.
I want to go see Knives Out.
I want to go see it, but I have
really
a hard time supporting that director.
Ryan Johnson.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Apps.
Which is, and we'll get into reasons later.
It's Daniel Craig.
Yeah, next
bro.
month.
Oh, it's Daniel Craig playing like a.
It's Chris Evans.
And Captain America.
Yeah, like
Chris Evans.
everybody's in it.
Let's go.
It's
I love
an
murder
all-star
mystery
cast.
too.
Jamie Lee Curtis is
all
in
in.
it
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
I like
Everybody.
I like the murder mystery.
Yeah, no, there's
Yeah,
so
so
many
November's
movies.
gonna be like the month to go to the theater, bro.
I know. I'm gonna try and go see a couple this week in the theater.
Frozen 2 comes out.
Did you see?
Oh, dump.
We have
Never saw Frozen 1. So not
we have a new
excuse me.
record, or
What?
so the movie Arctic Dogs came out this week, opened in 2,800 theaters and grossed $3.1 million. It is like the lowest opening for a movie like ever to open 2,800 theaters.
I've never heard of it.
So it's
Not me neither.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Exactly. That's the problem.
That's
yeah.
hilarious.
All right.
Wow.
Well, you guys want to get into Terminator Juan?
Yeah, let's do it. So we're not doing a rotating segment this week. In lieu of a rotating segment, we're going to do Terminator 1 kind of as a brief, like, mini discussion, building into the kind of entree, I guess, if you want to call it that, of the episode, which will be Terminator 2.
Yeah.
So, Terminator 1, let's go through our scores. Do you want to go through section by section real quick?
Well, I just want to, since I just Googled it,
Yeah, go for it.
I want to say the stats of this movie.
For
On
Terminator 1?
IMDb, yeah.
Yes.
Sweet. Let's
Has
go
an
for it.
8 on IMDb,
Solid.
an 84 on Metacritic,
And
Flip.
and a 100
on Rotten
on
Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes.
It's the highest
Terminator
rated
1?
movie.
Terminator 1.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I knew that like going into. I was like, holy crap, this movie must be like incredible or
That's
something.
crazy.
Okay, that's the only stat I want to go into that one. Since I
100%?
just
100%.
Since I just Googled it, I was
That's
like,
the
oh
only
my
movie in
gosh.
existence that has a
Yeah,
100.
and not to get ahead of ourselves, but like I think Terminator 2 is like a 92.
93. I just
93, yeah.
Googled that too.
Wow, that's really
That's-
surprising.
So, okay, I
'Cause
can...
it's like objectively, like universally known that number 2 is better than number 1.
Right, but I think, and I don't know how Rotten Tomatoes works, but the way I scored this movie is like, because nothing like this had ever been a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so for the idea, I gave it a complete 10 because it's so original for 1984.
I gave it a 10 as well on the
So-
idea/premise.
So yeah, so I could see that, but I don't know how Rotten Tomatoes would
I think
judge
Rotten
it that
Tomatoes
way.
is a combination. You have to correct me if I'm wrong, Luke. I think it's a combination of like critics that work for Rotten Tomatoes and then fans, and they
Oh,
combine
gotcha.
those into the same score.
Gotcha.
I think that's how it works.
I mean, it's a classic movie.
It's the
dude-
one that people go off of the most.
Yeah, because Metacritic's like, you know, they're really like fancy people, critic,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people don't really care about that.
Yeah,
And then
they're-
IMDb's like 100% fans.
Yeah.
yeah,
And so I think
Rotten
Rotten
Tomatoes,
Tomatoes
like a
is
mix.
the one that's like, people are like, this is like the actual score
Gotcha.
that matters. Which there's sometimes Rotten Tomatoes is like 100% wrong.
Right.
But for the most part, they do a good job.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, let's just kind of...
I gave it a 10 out of 10 on the idea/premise. Because
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think for 1984, whatever year it
Yeah.
came out, extremely innovative, creative, really kind of revolutionary
Yeah.
for a lot of reasons. So,
Luke?
I gave it a 7.
wow.
Oh, okay.
So I think I gave it a 7 just solely for the fact that I was kind of trying to be in the mindset of 1984, but there's some stuff I couldn't get past, like the whole like the future is this. I don't know. There's something about it that felt. I don't know, it's hard because
No,
it's
that's
like
good, man.
I said because I don't think it deserves a 10,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
then it's also hard to support my 7.
Hey, dude,
It's like
you got to be the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
So,
I kind of see what you're talking about. For me, like, the time travel thing is kind of whatever. I have no idea if that was, like, really popular before the 80s or not. I'm sure it was used in different storylines and things. So, to me, that wasn't the big, like, thing that stood out to me.
yeah.
The cool part for me was the robots and the machines and the cyborgs and the, like, not knowing who was a robot and who was a machine. And then they flipped it on us in number 2, which I thought was really cool, which we can
Yeah.
get into that later.
Yeah.
But, like, they both look robotic because they're both, like, from the future or whatever.
yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was cool. And like I said, I wasn't around in the 80s, and I don't have a whole lot of extensive film knowledge pre-1984 or whatever year you want to come up with. And so to me, it felt pretty iconic as far as some of the CGI that they used in that movie must have been like top of the line at that point.
Well, I mean, a lot of that was like
But
the scene of the robot walking at the end. That looked very stop motion.
Yeah, it looked and that's was a reason that I docked the cinematic elements a little bit, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I don't know, like I don't have a basis.
but compared to like the original Star Wars or
Right.
original Indiana Jones or whatever else,
Right.
it's
but see,
hard to
like,
judge because we're not really.
Yeah.
Which then you watch the second one,
and it
and
looks
a
way
lot
better.
of it is really really good. Yeah, it's hard to judge though.
Something that was pretty. All right, so I have a little bit of stuff to back up my 7.
Okay.
So it felt kind of Blade Runner-y to me.
Mhm.
So with like the cyborg human people,
Okay.
because you have that kind of thing going on in Blade Runner a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not to the extent where the world is pretty much ended and robots rule the world, but it felt
Right.
there's kind of a little bit of parallels in between those movies. And so I think at that time, I think a lot of that like time travel and stuff, like you have Back to the Future and all that. Like I think that was just it was kind of a popular
Yeah.
theme in the 80s, 70s, 80s
That's
early
true.
90s, and so I think that's why I gave it a 7.
I got you. I can say because Blade. I just looked it up. Blade Runner came out before Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at Back to the Future.
I think Back to the Future's afterwards, probably. If I had to guess.
Yep, 85. So,
Yeah, so
but
not
I
too
mean,
far.
I don't think it was a 100% original idea, but yeah.
Well, I mean,
got
how
you.
they treated it though was obviously original.
Sure.
So I mean, I gave it a 7, which is still
Yeah.
up there,
Yeah.
but I think I
Still
docked
good.
it a few points just because it felt like a kind of a popular theme in the 80s.
Gotcha.
I think I agree with you at some level. I think for me, what separated it was that it was kind of the archetype that created a mold for this type of movie for the next however long. I mean, 30 years. With a lot of different people trying to emulate this type of apocalyptic, futuristic, sci-fi, action, thriller, suspense movie, blockbuster movie. I think a lot of people have tried to replicate that in a lot of different ways. So I think for me, that's why I kind of leaned more toward the 10.
Okay.
But I totally see your point of view. Because to me, I agree. That was one of my first thoughts was, is this actually really that original? Or is it just kind of another spacey, sci-fi, futuristic movie that I've seen 100 times before? And that was hard for me to kind of decipher, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, cool. Character?
I gave the characters a 7 in the first movie.
Yeah.
Also gave it a 7.
I actually gave it a 6
Really?
because they don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like they don't develop.
kinda how I felt.
It's just a
In the
run, like a chase movie.
Well, quick rundown. Let's name the characters real quick.
Terminator,
So,
Sarah
I
Connor.
didn't even
Sarah
judge it
Connor.
off of the Terminator. I just based it off of
the guy, I forget his name.
Kyle
Reese.
Reese and
Kyle.
Sarah Connor.
Circa, yeah.
It's literally just those three.
Yeah, like
Pretty much.
For me, you can't have the movie and the main character be the Terminator and the Terminator really not do anything.
right.
You know what I mean? Like the second movie, Terminator is like obviously like a way bigger character.
Right. I think they, well, I don't know. It seemed like they made it tried to make it more of like a almost like horror type movie of like trying to run from Michael Myers kind of deal.
I can see that.
But like that,
They tried to make it like a human movie with a alien bad guy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Terminator, yeah, like you guys says, nobody really changes. If anything, maybe Sarah Connor gets a little bit more brave towards the end.
Towards the end.
She just
yeah.
annoys me, dude.
Reese or whatever. I mean, he's the same the entire Kyle Reese.
Yeah.
Right. He's.
I liked his character.
I liked him. Yeah, but
yeah.
he was the same. All there was very minimal development.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And she's annoying to me. I just don't.
Yeah,
like-
in this one,
don't-
I agree.
I don't like her at all. She's really annoying.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's my fault or her fault or what, but I don't know if it's her character or if it's the actress or what. She's just annoying.
I didn't like her either. Like, I know that she's significant, but I'm not attached to her.
Yeah.
So this is more about the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator itself, but so going to this, I've been pretty Terminator blind my entire life. Like, I'd heard the name Sarah Connor, the Terminator, knew Terminator was Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I knew nothing else.
Okay.
And so this whole time before I watched it, I thought he was supposed to be a hero in this movie.
Yeah.
But he was the villain the whole time. And so that caught me very off guard.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I'm kind of glad I went into not knowing, because I was like, oh, okay.
See, that's how I
all
was
right.
the second one. I was like, okay, it's me the exact same movie all over again. What the crap?
Yeah.
How is this one going to be any better? And then it literally flipped, and I was like, oh, okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I liked the Terminator in the first movie. He was the most interesting character for me. Because whenever he's on screen, something's going to happen.
Right.
He's going to bring the action. He's going to probably kill somebody, because literally the whole movie, he just goes around killing people.
Yeah.
Which,
It's Terminator.
yeah, I'm into that. He's called the Terminator, for crying out loud. So to me, he is the main character because he carries the movie. Even though Sarah Connor, I guess, is the hero or whatever you want to call it.
Because they act like she's the main character.
Yeah.
We'll see,
She's the hero, so I don't know if she's the main character, if she's just the most like heroic character. But in reality, Reese is more heroic than Sarah is, so it's
Right.
like I don't really know what they're trying to do.
See, that's kind of what, like, I don't feel like there is a hero
Yeah,
in this movie.
yeah, and she's not really heroic at all. She just happens to be important. Like,
Right.
she's just like along for the ride.
Yeah.
It's really not even about her. She's just there.
She's kind of like the middleman in a way, like, because her
Right.
son's the important one,
Right.
and she's just kind of the one that's there to have the baby, really.
Yeah.
I mean, which I hate to
She's the
say.
delivery man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but it's
Yeah, it's
just, I
kinda
mean, if
true.
you really get down to it, that's kind of what her character is.
Yeah.
And they end up making her more, because obviously in Dark Fate, she comes back in a big bad way.
Right, and they actually do kind of address a little bit of that.
Yeah.
In Dark Fate, there's a point where she's like, yeah, it kind of sucks being the one that, because she has a completely different attitude in that movie, but she's like, it really sucks being the one that they're there to save, isn't there? Because she's talking to the girl that they're trying to save in that one, and it's just like her mentality after the fact, not in this movie at all, was just like, so I was like, man, that's so true.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't it just suck to one day, like, you're working at a diner, and then all of a sudden, oh, somebody's coming to kill you. What?
Someone comes from the future, your life's changed, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, what the heck?
Also,
So,
yeah.
one more thing about the characters. I absolutely love the Nikes that Kyle Reese was wearing.
Dude, yeah.
Those are sick.
The
Oh yeah.
almost Marty McFly looking
Yeah, yeah.
Nikes.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, dude.
I was a big
Cool.
fan. Like, he put his foot down when he was in that changing room while he was, like, escaping the cops. I was
Yeah.
like, dang!
Those are some
Those
good
look-
Alright.
looking
those look
shoes.
come back a
Let's
little
move on to
Yep,
plot.
I gave the plot a 7.
I also gave it a 7.
I don't.
Because again, there's not
hard.
much to this
It's
movie.
so simple.
There's
A
not,
chase movie is like a really good way to describe it.
Yeah,
'cause that's literally what it is.
Yeah,
And the plot at the end is what? Kill the Terminator?
yeah, exactly.
that's-
Survive.
Literally, the only goal is survival. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I gave it a 7. I thought I was being a little generous with a 7. But I'm okay with that. I think it's
Yeah.
a solid movie, and it's a solid plot. It's not great. It's not terrible. It at least has a structure compared to some movies we've watched recently or I've watched recently. So for that reason, I gave it a little bit higher of a score than I would for like a Tarantino movie or something.
Yeah.
right.
But
I give it a 6. So one thing I did really like was I didn't see Reese being the dad.
The father.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
okay.
I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Literally, as soon as like their first like romantic like inkling happened, I was
Well,
like,
of
oh,
course,
for sure.
then I saw it. I mean, that's when
Right.
they're kind of displaying it to you. Like,
Yeah.
they're
No,
kind of
so
like
he's-
teasing you with it.
I don't know how long it was. I probably called because Callie and I watched it together.
Yeah,
and
it was
we-
like 2/3 of the way
we-
through the
we
movie.
both
I
called
think.
it pretty.
And see,
quickly.
that's the other thing too. I feel like, because now we see crap like that pretty commonly now, and we can spot it
Yeah.
well. But in the 80s, you know what I mean? Like,
People wouldn't have seen it.
But I
how
do
many
agree.
characters were there in the movie?
Exactly.
Like
I
how many
do-
options were there?
Yeah.
That she was gonna like have a baby like in the next,
right. I mean, I'm
hour.
not like trying to
But, yeah.
disagree, but like,
Yeah.
I feel
And I
like some
liked
of those
it.
things we
I
just
didn't have
see.
a problem with it. I thought it was
quicker.
a cool plot line.
Yeah.
That made it more interesting for sure.
Right.
Like if she would have just gotten pregnant with some random dude, or already had been pregnant with some random dude, and then this guy shows up to protect her, like that wouldn't have
Yeah.
been as interesting.
Well, it made his death feel
And
a little
exactly,
bit
it made
more,
the
and
Yeah.
it made it
give
feel
a little bit more meaning.
Yeah.
And the hypotheticals that you think about of like, man, his son sent him back in the future or back
Back
in time
from the future.
to die. Like,
Yeah.
So is he dead now in the other place?
yeah,
Really?
yeah, like,
He like legit died,
yeah.
so he doesn't exist anymore.
No, like in the John Connor time that
there's
he
no-
sent him back from. Yeah, he's
It's one timeline. It's
Yeah.
not like multiple
right.
things happening.
Yeah, it's not like the in game.
There's not.
When in
yeah.
doubt, use a quantum realm.
It's not a multiverse.
Yeah, because
Multiverse.
remember in Endgame they kind of duked on all the old time travel movies. They're like,
Yeah.
that's not how time travel works.
Yeah,
Back to the Future.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's multiple cells.
Plot was very simple. I mean, I liked
Yeah.
that twist. So I mean, I was like, all right, I'll
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 7 also.
Okay.
Conflict.
Conflict, tension, urgency. I gave it a 7. I kind of landed in the 7s there for a while.
Okay.
For me, the conflict was interesting with the Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
100% exciting and interesting and dynamic. Tension was there on screen when he was there. In moments, there's some slow moments in this movie.
Yeah.
For sure. The urgency for me was relatively consistent, but it wasn't, like you said, there wasn't necessarily a goal other than survival, and so that
Yeah.
way there's not really any urgency.
I really liked the. I mean, a lot of the stuff was predictable.
Yeah.
I like the police scene or
whenever he goes in the station.
Yeah, the police station.
Like
that was
F's people up.
That's where he does. I'll be back.
That's the line. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I've heard this line so many times.
Yeah.
And he literally tells it to a lady at a desk.
Yep.
At a police department. I was like,
it was a guy.
Well, and
it was a guy.
Yeah.
I thought it was an old lady.
Well, and he came back in a bad way. Drove a car right through
He did.
I guess.
I expected him like a bazooka or
Still,
something.
I know. I was like, what? I was expecting him to like.
That scene was.
You also have you seen many Arnold movies?
No,
He has really dumb,
really.
cheesy lines like that in all of his movies.
Really?
Yeah, so they're not always the best timed.
I think I've seen him in these movies and then like The Expendables, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, he always generally has some, and I like it's an odd line to have gotten so iconic, but I mean like another one is like get to the chopper. Like,
yeah.
why would that be?
It's not
just,
a tumor.
It's just the way that he
because
talks.
he delivers it.
Yeah.
The other thing was we were cracking up like throughout the movie. Like this guy was the governor of California.
Yeah, dude.
It's so funny.
Yeah,
like,
baby.
Like, can you imagine being the people who like were in the diner scene when he was like naked walking around? Like, yeah, that's my governor right there, y'all.
The Governator.
Governator.
Like, anyway, that's a random side note for the night.
Hey.
I gave it a 7. I thought it was solid. Not great, not terrible. 7.
I gave it an 8.
I also gave it an 8. Yeah, because it was consistent. I'd say it was for the most part consistent.
But it didn't deserve a 10 because it wasn't
it
like
wasn't.
all the way through. There were the slow parts, like when they were like hiding, like there was no
the
like there was
hiding out.
yeah.
Land.
When you said it was a chase movie, pretty much.
Yeah.
I felt tension the whole way. Like every time, like I thought it was close. Like when he started killing people at the beginning, killing the Sarah Connors, I thought that was kind of cool.
That was
I thought that was neat.
It was interesting to me
to add some tension.
How you get and again this is just an 80s movie thing of like you get this badass robot from 20 whatever and he has to use the phone book to find the Sarah Connors.
If you made this movie now, how easy would it be
You
to
just, like,
find
Facebook
that?
them?
Yeah, find that one person, have to kill anybody else.
Oh yeah.
Going through a friggin'
Which
phone book.
as the movies progress, they get it, like they start to become, the robots become smarter, where it's like, oh, I can just like
Use the internet.
look. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy that the Terminator existed pre-internet, but it was like the alien like, robots.
Oh, he's
rule
from the
the
year
world.
2029.
I know, but did they have the
10
internet?
years away.
Did they
Yeah,
have
dude.
the internet in 2029?
Well, no, because Skynet took it all
Skynet
down
Took it down. We actually
in 1998.
we have a defensive package called Skynet on our football team.
That's hilarious.
And I was always like, "What the crap is Skynet?" And Coach Davis was like, "It's from Terminator."
Dude, every time we talk about AI and machine learning at Dell, I'm like, oh, Skynet. Like, we don't need to make it any smarter.
Oh man.
Remove cinematic elements.
I gave cinematic elements an 8. I think I kind of pooped on it a little bit because some of the stuff in here was not good. But like you guys said earlier, and like I said earlier, like the rolling ball thing in Indiana Jones, not a great look, you know?
Well, yeah, because it was all practical effects.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, how harshly can you judge it? Some of the stuff they did with like the robo, like human makeup and stuff.
Endoskeleton.
Yeah, that was super cool. Super cool.
So-
They actually had like a really, I guess, live functioning robot that they kind of walked around like a some kind of like
It was
car. I don't know.
it looked like a little
Yeah.
puppety to me.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't perfect.
But it was cool.
But,
I gave it an 8. An 8's a solid score.
yeah.
I thought it was a solid movie. They did a couple of really, really cool, innovative things. A couple of things I wasn't a huge fan of. Overall, solid movie.
Well, so the worst thing in the world was his makeup, or the mask
like
that he
when
would
he-
have.
The half face.
Yeah, that was just awful.
Yes.
I was like, so I love practical effects. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely love it. If you do them, I'm a big fan. So like,
Christopher Nolan.
Oh my
So-
God! There we go. There it is. The Chris Nolan of the week.
so
does
I
use a lot of
appreciate
special
that they did
effects.
practical effects and they did great with what they did and the
Yeah.
time they did it. But I gave it a 5.
Ooh.
Just because I was like the whole time I was watching, I was like, ooh. And because like
They
at the
tried.
end, it looked the like I get why they did, how they did it, and all that stuff. Like at the very end where the robot's chasing him, that looked
Down
like
the hall.
Down the hall
Yeah.
specifically, it looked very stop motion. Like they
Yes.
sit there and moved him and stuff, and all that. And then he looked very puppety. And then, like I said, the mask was my least favorite part. The mask that he had, like in all his hotel scenes, or when he was in that little room, and it was like, oh my gosh, that's so bad.
I thought the first scene was brutal, with like the alien spaceships like shooting the laser beams.
Oh yeah, those are bad. Yeah,
that scene was bad, especially when they did it again in the second movie, and the second movie was like 10 times better. With like the explosions and the like that, it just looks so much better.
Yeah.
I thought an 8 was a solid score. I think 5 is, honestly, it's kind of how I felt when I was watching it. But I was like, hey, 1984.
I gave it an 8.
Didn't really have computers
also,
back then. 8's a solid score
because I mean I just liked the like design of a lot of the stuff, like of once all the skin was off, like how the Terminator looked and things like that. And I mean, for other, like I liked a lot of the music, and I liked the scenes where like you're looking through the Terminator's eyes, and it's like the computer, and it's like
that's cool.
I was like, that's a cool effect,
cool
you know. And like when the dude comes to his door and he's like, God, what, you got a dead body in there? And it like goes through the responses, and he's like, F you, a-hole. And I was like, that's hilarious too.
Yeah, that was good. That was funny. I like how he can do different voices.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. I thought there was some cool stuff.
So I mean, movie. But yes, I do agree that the like when he like pulled out like his eye or whatever.
Yeah, the eyeball.
I was like, oh,
that kind of grossed me out.
The eyeball scene.
Yeah, I was like, ooh.
That's a total score of a 39 for me.
Ditto.
39.
33.
That 5, man.
That's about how I felt. Honestly,
so don't get me wrong. I like the movie.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm ready to get into Terminator 2 though.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I
talk about that one.
Yeah. 39 for me. I have no clue how it got a 100 on Rotten Tomatoes. That is obnoxiously high for me. To me, all that tells me is that there's a bunch of fanboys out there who went and just like voted it.
Terminator 1 was awesome
a bunch of times. So
I mean,
because there's no way anyone watches that movie and says this is the best movie of all time or this is the perfect movie of all. Like nobody can make that argument. I don't think so anyway.
No,
I'm with you. Obviously, I am.
I mean,
you are for sure.
I same way. Like, I like this movie, but it has its faults, and I'm like Luke. Like, the next one is where it rocks.
Yeah,
no doubt. Okay,
so let's do it.
Give us the deets on Terminator 2.
T2.
Okay. All right. So I'm a little less prepared this week because I forgot to do my normal research. So hold on 1 second here.
That's all right. We'll let you pass. We'll give you a pass.
Give me a pass this week.
Judgment Day.
Yep, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. All right, a cyborg identical to the one who failed to kill Sarah Connor must now protect her teenage son, John Connor, from a more advanced and powerful cyborg. That's the little synop.
What's the dude's name that plays the bad guy in this movie?
Oh boy,
I've seen him before.
He's in
he's in a lot of like military movies
he's
now.
In military and cop movies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cop shows. He was on CSI, one of those popular ones.
He was in. Crud.
I'll look it up. Don't worry.
He was in one with the president from 24.
Oh yeah.
His name is 3, 2, 1.
Robert Patrick. Just got it at the same time.
And yeah, he was. Let me see, what show was I thinking of? He was in The X-Files and Spy Kids. Fun.
The Faculty.
Wayne's World.
Charlie's Angels.
Scorpion, which is one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my entire life.
I recognize him from something specific.
You're right. Yeah. True Bloods. I mean, that's a big one. Stargate Atlantis. Yes.
How much money did it make?
I'm gonna get there. I'm trying to. So we'll get into the ratings next. IMDb gave it an 8.5.
Oh, nice.
Rotten Tomatoes a 93, and Metacritic. I'm having to look up real quick because sometimes that doesn't always pop up. 75.
Wow.
Interesting. But I believe this movie is like number 2 or 3 on the like IMDb's top 100 movies you should watch if you're a human or something or other. Budget. Let's see. We'll edit all this out.
He's
with
in
movie
We Are
magic.
Marshall and Flags for Our Fathers. That's where I know him from.
Yeah, he's like one of the.
He's in Walk the Line.
Yeah, he plays Johnny Cash's dad in that movie. Okay, so the budget for this movie was $100 million.
Are you serious?
In
That's
1990.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Well, I mean,
I think we saw that too.
that's Jimmy
Isn't it?
Cameron for you. Because I mean, the budget for Avatar was what, $1 billion or
Like
something
8
or
or
other.
900, yes.
Yeah, they barely broke even. Remember?
Yeah. Box office earnings for Terminator 2 were, good lord, $720 million,
Holy cow.
roughly, between U.S., Canada, and worldwide.
That's pretty good. Those are like numbers you'd see today.
Right.
No doubt. That'd be like a really good thing for us today.
No kidding. So yeah, let's see. I'm pretty sure it did not win any awards, but let's.
No, this feels like an Avengers movie where it
Yeah,
probably wouldn't.
like-
If it did, it was like for special effects or something.
Oh, Best Sound Mixing Academy Award and Best Visual Effects
Nice.
Nice.
and Sound Editing, Hair and Makeup.
So there's 2, right?
So 4.
Oh, 4. Shoot.
But they were all the like
That's all right.
the
Little
All the ones that the
side
Avengers would
ones.
get,
Oscar.
Right, yeah.
like best CG and
But yeah,
costumes.
any other stats you guys want me to look up since I forgot to do it this week?
No, that's
good.
all I need. I'm
Cool.
content. Let's talk about some
Yeah.
idea
Some
premise.
stats. Yeah, so we kind of went through it already, but our stats we go through are idea, premise, character, plot, conflict, tension, and urgency, and cinematic elements. So jump into the idea premise.
I gave it a 10 out of 10 for the same reason I gave number 1 a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Thought it was creative. I thought it was interesting. I loved the flip of Terminator being a good guy sent back from the future, and the cop being the bad guy, even though, like, obviously they flipped that on you. He didn't really.
The
think see that
T1000,
coming.
I think,
The
is
Yep,
the
T1000 and Arnold is the T101.
Yeah, so I love the setup. I thought it was great. I thought the premise was really cool for this movie, as far as Judgment Day and
Right.
all this stuff happening with the son, and the son's like at a really vulnerable age. You know,
He's
he's
10?
13 or whatever. I
Yeah,
think
he's a
he's
teenager, I
12
would
or
assume.
13,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if it ever says, but
Yeah.
teenager.
They
He
say
acts
at
very
some
much like a
point.
teenager.
So to me, I thought it was really cool. I liked how they repeated some things, like blatantly repeated some things.
Yes.
like, obviously for continuity.
The scene where they show up in the future and they're naked. And,
The lightning and
Oh,
the
well, yeah,
nakedness
that's-
and,
yeah.
that's great.
That's in every movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's totally fine. I liked that, actually, kind of making it feel consistent. But I think that it was cool to have some variation and different things, and obviously the new robot had a lot of new tricks and things like that. But
Right.
10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I gave it a 7, so I think that's consistent with my first score of T1, mostly because of the little bit of the rehash there. But I did keep it a 7, so a higher score, because of the flipping they did. So
Yeah.
how they flipped the Terminator, because they started out like you expected him to be the bad guy again.
Right.
And obviously in 1991, I think is when this movie came out, 92. Obviously, I'm sure that's what those people thought as well, that he was going to be the bad guy again. So I didn't see this trailers though, so hopefully
I
they
was gonna
didn't
say,
like.
I wonder. I don't know if they would have given that away in the trailer.
Just
or
show
not.
him killing people and
I would have made it like made it look like he was the bad guy, like only
Right.
show from the first like 15 minutes of the movie, and then
when he beats those guys up in the diner or the bar.
in the
or whatever.
bar, yeah, the biker
or just
bar,
like a well edited him shooting a cop.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they could have done it the right way.
yeah. So I gave
Not giving it away.
I gave it a 7. Again docked it for the rehash bit.
Mm.
But I did keep it. Yeah, I kept it high because of the way they kind of flip things on you a little bit.
Yeah.
And no, I thought it was okay. But that's my lowest rated section. So
Nice.
So yeah.
I gave it a 9
Nice.
because I don't think I will ever give a sequel a 10 because
Really?
it's not truly
It's not original anymore.
an original idea.
Dark Knight. Best sequel film ever.
I wasn't a part of that episode.
Is it
we
though?
haven't done
We haven't done Batman yet.
Bro, we need to do like a Christopher Nolan month.
Well,
Oh my god!
when does...
On the month of his birth.
Dark Knight, though, like legit might be the best sequel of all time.
We'll have to do a Christopher Nolan birthday issue.
But I'm just
birthday
being a butt.
episode. Let me
No,
look
I
up
know
his
you are.
birthday real quick.
I'm just being a butt.
Hopefully, it's not in December.
There'll be an AJ-led episode. AJ will lead all the categories.
The only two things I really want to do for the rest of the podcast, if we able to do it for like another 50 years, is like Christopher Nolan and like Lord of the Rings, like month.
Yeah, dude.
We'll have a Lord of the Rings month.
If I get those
can do
two
that.
things, I'm in.
But
Anyway,
yeah, so
Ooh,
I don't.
I understand.
July
your-
30th.
Oh, yes.
We can make that happen.
Let's
We'll have a
go.
podcast on
But
that.
yeah,
I agree. I think
Like-
the sequel hurts it a little bit.
well, yeah, and I mean it's just for a lot of the same reasons of like they're the same. It's Terminators again,
Yeah.
going back to kill somebody. But yes, the original of like. So did you see that coming before he like shot the cop and said "get down" and like
Whenever the cop punched the guy, I'm trying to think, I'm like lost in my mind. But anyway, there was a certain moment when the cop like did something a little bit jerky-ish, like he was being like a tool bag.
yeah.
Like I was like, that's not. Yeah.
Well,
and then he started walking. And I'm sure he was walking like pretty robotically the whole time.
Yeah.
And I didn't really look for it.
He did seem
But
more human.
He seemed more human until after that moment. I think it was the kids, maybe. He like pushed the kids out of the way or something.
yeah.
But it was like less than 2 minutes before he walked down the hallway.
Yeah.
So it was like really.
Yeah.
So I would say I didn't see it coming until literally because right before it happened, I was like, he's the good guy. And Cal was like, no joke. He turns around and goes, get down. Shoots the guy. I was
Well,
like,
the way he like takes out
Let's
his
go.
shotgun was so cool. Out of the roses.
Yeah, like out of the.
That's like one of my
dude.
favorite shots ever. I'm like, that's so sick.
Yeah, he does.
I had this movie
shotgun was
spoiled
like,
for me,
was
so
like
I expected
short,
it.
And
Yeah.
he just like constantly just like waves it around like it's a pistol.
Yeah, I mean, he's Arnold
So-
Schwarzenegger.
I mean, so cool.
Yeah, because that dude's huge.
He's so cool. He's like,
The way he recocks it on the shotgun,
oh,
where he
dude,
spins it.
That's a John Wayne trick.
That's
Yeah.
some
Way
cool
back.
stuff.
Yep.
John Wayne, bro.
But I also did really enjoy that it was two Terminators,
Yeah.
not a Terminator and a
And
human.
See, that's
Yeah.
what I thought. Whenever he shot him, I was like, what?
Movie's over.
Movie's
That makes-
over.
that makes-
And then he like did his little like whatever
Regeneration
Yeah, and I was
thing?
like, oh my gosh. And
yeah.
then he goes, and I
Yeah.
was like, yes, let's
Yeah.
go.
So I guess we're kind of segueing into character here
Yeah.
a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Did you give
That
your score
was
for
9?
You gave it a
For
9.
Idaho.
Yeah,
That was
you
a
gave it
really
10.
cool
I gave it
scene.
7.
Yeah.
Really cool.
So
scene.
yeah, I guess we're kind of segueing here into characters. So
No.
I gave character an 8. I loved the Terminator in this movie. I thought he was so interesting.
yep. Wait, which Terminator?
The Terminator, as in
T101.
Schwarzenegger. I thought it was so interesting that he even says this in the movie, that the more time he spends with humans, the more human he becomes, or the better he understands them, or
He's so sweet.
whatever.
Yep.
And the kid like uses like his advantage against him, and like
Yeah.
you have to obey me or whatever. And I
Yeah,
thought that was great.
Stand on one foot. and
Yeah, I
all
thought that was great.
Yeah, stand on one.
He beats those dudes up for him. Like I thought that was great.
Yeah, he's like, get rid of this guy.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he's
yeah.
Picks
like,
him up as there.
Yeah.
I love the bad guy.
Yeah.
Super cool bad guy. Like literally at one point, Callie said, "How is he going to defeat this bad guy?" And I was like, "Well, I don't really know, but I mean, he's got to win." So
There's gifs of it on the internet of Terminator giving the thumbs up as he
Oh,
goes down.
yeah.
So I'm like, lava. I mean, I kind of expected. I had this movie spoiled for me pretty much by the
see,
internet.
I had no idea. Whenever he got frozen and he shot him, I was like,
I thought the frozen part was cool.
That-
I
Yeah.
thought it was really cool. I was like, "There's no way that's it,
Well-
right?" And then he comes back. I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, I was like, yeah. I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, perfect, you got him. And then I was like, but you're in a metal factory.
He's gonna
Like,
melt. It's gonna melt. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He's gonna be able to join. But
That's what I thought. I loved the bad guy. I loved
Yeah.
the Terminator. For me, everyone else in the movie was meh.
I like the kid a lot. I like the
See,
John.
Yeah.
John Connor.
Yeah.
I like the kid. This was one of the only movies I'm like I didn't hate the kid.
I
Right.
didn't hate the kid. Didn't like him.
yeah.
To me, I liked him with the Terminator.
They had
Yeah.
They had pretty
They
great
were
chemistry.
good together, but I don't know.
That was cool.
I
He
did-
wasn't
He
like
was okay. He
didn't
wasn't
do
great.
anything
He wasn't
annoying
terrible.
to me.
He
or-
didn't bother me like you said. Most
Yeah.
kid
I s-
movies or kids in movies
Yeah.
are like.
I still wasn't a fan of Sarah Connor.
Oh, dude, I thought she was more annoying in this movie than the last movie.
I did too.
Like they made her crazy but she wasn't like crazy because she actually like knows what's
They
happening.
just
Right,
didn't-
yeah,
But they like
the
made her
doctor.
look crazy. There were several moments, and I was like, "That's pretty funny."
Well, she was basically Kyle Reese, but in this movie,
Yeah.
that's true.
the person that knows
Yeah, it's
a lot
That's
about
true.
certain things
That's
about,
true.
about the future, and
Just nobody believes you.
Yep.
and-
Whenever she jumped across the table and like strangled the dude, I was like, yes.
yeah, I didn't like her hair in this movie. Right now, I'm just
She-
getting nitpicky,
She
but
looked, she looked like a druggie, dude.
yeah,
She was so skinny and like her
she had
hair
some,
was like
she
really
had some
thin
muscle though.
and-
She looked she was skinny, yeah, but she looked kind of fit.
Well, yeah, because she was like doing pull-ups on
Yeah,
her bed.
She was
Uh-huh.
she was wrecking
That's
those
what I'm saying,
pull-ups
she's like
too.
a crazy person.
Yeah.
I didn't like her, so I gave the characters an 8 for those two main characters, and everybody else for me was like, I didn't really care enough to
Yeah.
knock them points, but I didn't feel like they deserved like a 9 or a 10. So
No, I gave it an 8, and I gave it a. I mean, yeah, like you said, the Terminator was awesome. Like he was super
He
cool in
was
this
awesome.
movie.
Mhm.
Like I don't know, just from the very first time he showed up, like you could tell something was different about him.
Mhm.
I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know if this is like the storytelling,
Well-
how Terminator's like acting, but like something's different. I appreciate
well,
this.
he beats the guys up in the bar,
Yeah,
and then he takes the guy's gun, but doesn't kill either of them.
yeah.
That's when I was like, I didn't.
Something's
think
like
he
a
was
little
gonna-
off.
I didn't think he was going to be a good guy, but I did think that it was going to be something in his protocol or something that made him blend in more rather than just going around killing people.
Get a
Yeah.
Because
malfunction
in the
or
first
something.
movie, he kills like literally everyone,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the whole movie, and so I was like, that's kind of weird. And then the cop was being rude and robotic, and I was like, And then I kind of called it like, I don't know, probably 60 seconds before it happened.
But then they made the T-1000 so like likable, like how he just talked to people, you know. Like
Yeah,
of course
like
he was
they-
pretending, yes, but like
Right.
I was like, man, he's like
he was a great bad guy.
But
so
see, and
polite.
that was the thing. He was a more advanced machine, so they
Yeah.
made him
Well,
more
and him
human.
being able to like turn his body into different like metals and stab people and
Yeah.
pick locks and latch onto like the car.
Yeah.
Like he was just really, really cool
Well, that was-
and creative and inventive. Like as
Yeah.
a writer, like that was a really cool character to see all of the
Yeah.
like advantages that he
Yeah.
had over the older model of the
Well, that's
Terminator.
something. That was one of my favorite things about this movie. I love that, like, when the bad guy's like obviously more powerful,
Mhm.
skilled than the hero. It's kind of like
It
a.
makes it interesting.
It's kind of like a Thanos,
Yeah.
Captain America, or whatever you want to call it. Like Thanos is obviously the superior here. He gets beat by the power of teamwork and love.
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, I really like the contrast between the two.
Yeah, for sure. And
I liked John
they're both,
Carter.
They're
or
both
Connor.
robots, and so that
Yeah.
was really interesting. How he was like the best version of a robot, and obviously the other guy was like the worst version of a robot.
It was just like the old model, of course. It's like
Yeah. Upgrade.
yeah,
No, I mean like he was the most like humanly, like friendly version of a robot, like that actually can think and process and do different things for himself, but
yeah.
still be a
Oh.
good robot.
yeah.
The other person was like the worst case scenario for what robots could be, which is like cold, like heartless, literally just
Well, Terminator from Terminator 1.
literally, yeah, just
Yeah.
programmed to kill people. And then obviously, Schwarzenegger's character in this movie is
Yeah.
like he starts to feel for the humans and kind of relates to them and asks why they cry
Yeah.
and then realizes why they cry or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that was really cool to kind of watch the contrast between like what a good robot and a bad robot like could potentially look like in like the somewhat near future. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's weird because I feel like we should be talking more about Sarah Connor because she's kind of like,
I just don't care.
So,
I literally just didn't care.
I'll
about
be the
her.
devil's advocate here.
please.
10 out of
Because
10.
I gave this a 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I would agree. I only gave it a 10 because I've seen it
A bunch.
a bunch.
Yeah.
And I begin to understand her aspect
Yep.
of like she's trying to, first of all, she's trying to save the world. Nobody will listen to her.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that makes you a little crazy.
She's kind of like the mom from Stranger Things. A
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
Where she kind of knows something but doesn't really know.
And nobody believes
And
her.
nobody believes her and she is crazy, but she's not crazy.
Right. So it's just a weird dynamic. And then, like, she's trying to do all this to protect her son, really. And then the scene where because her whole mission for the first half of the movie is to find whoever invented Skynet and kill them.
Yeah.
And then when she goes off to his house and like tries to assassinate him and fails, and then John shows up and he kind of like snaps her out of it. It's like, stop. We'll figure out another way. And then yes, I will agree, she's annoying, but at the same time, I understand
her motives for stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's.
See, I understand that because the first time I watched Stranger Things, I hated the mom. I hated her. She's so annoying, right? Second time, totally get it. I understand why she's like that. She makes sense. I started to appreciate her character more. I can totally see that argument.
So that's kind of my thing on her. And so, again, for me, with character, everybody has to develop.
Yep.
And, you know, and even if where some characters may not develop a whole lot, like Sarah Connor, the relationship of John and the T-101 is what really carried this on to me easily saying this is
no
a 10.
Doubt. That's a great relationship, and it does carry the movie for sure.
There's another movie that, like, you know, it's a kid and kind of like the big oaf kind of thing, and they get really close and he has to sacrifice himself at the end. There's another movie like that I'm trying to think of.
Ooh, you're gonna need to give me.
Is it Iron Giant?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's Iron Giant.
King Kong.
Really?
He's kind of like that.
Maybe.
Right? Doesn't King Kong sacrifice himself for the lady?
Oh, he just kind of...
meh.
I don't know.
I agree with Iron Giant a little bit more.
It was beauty that killed the beast.
So, yeah, it's Iron Giant I'm thinking of.
It is Iron Giant.
Okay, yeah.
Shrek?
What? Nobody dies in Shrek.
I mean, kind of like... No, you're right.
Anyway. AJ just trying to put his opinion in there.
It's like
Lilo and Stitch.
It's like the Sandlot, you know? Just sacrifices himself at the end to save the baseball.
Exactly.
Plot?
So yeah.
What did you feel about the boy?
John okay, Connor. So yes, annoying, but at the same time he goes from being a punk teenager who hates his foster step whatever parents,
right?
Which you see all the time now, especially to where he actually realizes, okay, I need to not be so stupid all the time, and starts to have a relationship with a machine and has a better, you know. So yes, annoying, but also, you just see growth. I see growth in him as a character.
Man, he did not care that his foster parents got killed.
Not at all.
No doubt.
I was like, wait, he's not even like, I'm so sad. He's like, all right, so what are we going to do now?
He's like, forget those people.
Yeah, those people sucked.
Okay, plot. I gave the plot an 8.
I think I gave it an 8.
I think it was better than the first movie.
Yeah, I give it an 8.
For me, because it was about more than survival. Like, it had more things happening. It kind of had more...
It was a little more character-driven in some ways.
It was a little bit more character-driven. It had a little bit more character dynamics as far as there were more actual characters in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked it because there was a bigger goal than just one, like keeping this person alive.
Right.
I liked that they were going after the scientist guy who was in charge of the microchip thing.
Yeah.
And
from the old Terminator.
Yeah, from the old Terminator, and I liked how that was what Skynet kind of used to become Skynet and whatever. And that was what led to Judgment Day. And so I liked all of those like progressions as far as the plot goes. I just thought it was more exciting. I thought there was more happening. I thought it was more interesting. So that's why I gave it an 8. I gave the last movie a 7. Give this one an 8.
Yeah, I liked when I gave this part an 8. I liked when the scientist, he was like, "You're here judging me for something I haven't even done yet," and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool."
Kind of brutal.
I was like, after he got shot, then he ends up like sacrificing himself later. I was like, oh, so instead of like, you know, starting the the apocalypse kind of thing, he's the one that ends up has a part in hopefully saving it. It's like, oh, that's kind of a neat character turn.
So, if Judgment Day doesn't happen, does that mean that the 2029 storyline doesn't exist?
Depends on which sequel you like.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. So does the events of 2029 happen?
So for spoilers, because I don't if you want to be a true fan, watch the Terminator 3 and then Salvation and then Genesis.
So how many movies are there total?
6.
I've seen Salvation.
Dark Fate is 6.
Dark Fate is 6.
Okay.
Salvation is not bad in my opinion. It's more. I don't remember if they say the actual year, but it's the, let's say, 2029 time. It's with Christian Bale, and it's not horrible.
Captain Boomerang.
Terminator, yeah. Terminator 3 is by far the worst one.
That's the Rise of the Machines.
It's the Rise of the Machines. Yeah. And the way they do that is the way they set up the timeline is they just delayed Judgment Day. That technology's always going to find a way, and
this fate.
And yeah, kind of. And it's just it's a government like defense thing. Mm-hmm. It's like a defense net that the Air Force or somebody ends up creating. Yeah. And
I don't know if I like the whole delaying thing. I would have been cooler if they just would have stopped.
I think, and you guys will have to watch, and I'm not going to go into it because I think we still are going to try and do an episode on it.
Yeah.
Dark Fate, in my opinion, literally says a big FU to 3, Salvation, and Genesis.
Okay.
It literally erases the other sequels because Dark Fate is not directly, but I mean, it's a direct sequel to Judgment Day.
Yeah.
So, and in that case, some of the answers aren't, or some of the questions aren't answered, but it's like it's not Skynet anymore. It's a completely different, and it's not like a nuclear thing either. So it still does end up happening, but it's different.
Okay.
So
I'm going to try and go see it this week. So
I would say that if you follow the Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines timeline, 2029 still does exist, but it's just not, Judgment Day wasn't on August whatever 1998. Yeah. I think it moves to like something 2003. So
interesting. Okay. You gave it an 8 on plot?
I gave it an 8. Yeah. I liked it the entire way through. Mm-hmm. So like from the beginning, when he came out, and then just like, you know, how he flipped, and he had that cool scene where he whips out the shotgun. That was cool.
Yep.
I thought it was pretty solid all the way through. It didn't get really too slow. Maybe it got a little slow where she met her like buddies in the desert, her Hispanic amigos.
Yeah, what was the point of that?
I liked
guns.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah,
guns in the car.
I liked the scene when they were in the laboratory, or the sequence. Mm-hmm. That was neat. I really actually liked her prison escape, or her ward escape.
That was
cool. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is whenever she is like down on the ground, or she sees the Terminator coming out of the elevator, and she starts freaking out.
Yes.
She runs back. He's like, he's gonna kill us all, and he's like, come with me if you want to live.
Yeah.
The callback to the first movie.
First one.
And I was like, oh man, that was just a cool sequence right there. And so I really like that part. No, for me it was pretty consistent all the way through. I enjoyed about every moment of it. Even so, like I said, the slow part with where they need to get the guns and stuff, that still wasn't too bad because.
Well, and I just remembered as I said it was part of the original plan. The original plan was like to get John like out and like hide him. Mm-hmm. But she kind of went the other way of like trying to go kill the Skynet guy, and they went after her.
Yeah.
So
that was the only thing in the movie where I was like, come on. Like I did not appreciate that choice by her, but
yeah.
That was my literally I think that was probably literally the only moment in the movie where I was like, man.
Right.
But other than that, that was, for most, the plot was enjoyable. It was a great action movie.
Yeah.
Even the first was a great action movie. Like I liked it a lot. So yeah, 8 for me. Did you say what you give it?
Nope.
What'd you give it? 10 out of 10?
Yep.
Knew it.
So I probably judge movies a little nicely, but I do like the fact that this movie was very different plot-wise from the first one, and it had more dynamics than just a chase movie. Like it had we want to try and change the future like kind of trying to like break into Skynet and then they figure out that, or the T-1000 figures out where they are, and then I also just like a bunch of big action scenes. Like one of the coolest parts of the entire plot also was when they're when John and the T-101 are going in to save Sarah, and or it was right before that, like when the Terminator almost shoots the guy who John says,
his hand away,
and he's like, "No, you can't just kill people," and he's like, "I order you to not kill anyone." And so then
he kneecaps
him. Jenna and I both, like, she called that, which I was pretty proud of, but that was the funniest part of, like, he's still alive.
Starts kneecapping people,
But then the scene where they're breaking in, and he has the minigun, and there are all those cops. You see the scene, and it says fatality 0.
Mm-hmm. 0.0.
He shoots all the cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, but there are a lot of dudes with like some broken kneecaps and eardrums, and
because that shows some continuity though, because the kid never tells him to kill people.
Right. Yeah.
It's so he continually doesn't kill people throughout the movie.
Right. I
didn't notice that, but I mean,
even again in the later one in 3, that he still has that same protocol of he doesn't. Let me think a second. Same kind of thing of like, he's just like shooting to wound. He doesn't actually. I may have to check my facts on that, but I don't think he kills anybody in the third one.
Is the third one also directed by James Cameron?
No.
No? Okay.
He only did these first 2. That's why it kind of goes down. And I thought he directed the Dark Fate one, and he just produced it.
Yeah, he produced it.
So he was a part of it, but not as big of a part.
Yeah.
But
he was also part of Genesis too, I think.
I don't think so, because they made a big deal about the return of James Cameron to this one.
Okay.
So, but yeah. So
you gave it a 10 out of 10. I can appreciate that. I get it.
I gave it a 10 just because of the contrast, really, of like, you don't know who's the bad guy. You didn't at first know that they were both Terminators.
Yeah. Well, I really liked the way they ended things, or
and then the ending was satisfying.
Yeah, because
sad but satisfying.
They had the fight, and obviously Arnold gets outmatched pretty easily, it seems.
Yeah.
And then he kills him. He does the whole thumbs up thing as he goes in, which I've only seen that as, like I said, I've only seen it on the internet as like a gif. People are just like, people do that, and I was like, that seems kind of stupid. And then I saw it in context to the movie. I was like, oh,
all these make sense now.
Everything makes sense. Just like the scene whenever she's holding onto the fence in the dream sequence, and the nuke goes off, and also it's like her skeleton.
Yeah.
Like people post that online too, making fun of stuff, and then so I was like, when I saw it in like online, I was like, golly, what movie is that from? And then seeing in context to it makes more sense.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I got context on all of these internet memes.
All right, conflict, tension, and urgency.
Ooh, what did I give it? I gave it an 8.
I also gave it an 8.
I said solid conflict, pretty good tension, decent urgency. So all around above average, not stellar like a 9 or a 10, but a 7 or an 8 for me is pretty solid. So I enjoyed the conflict a lot because, like you guys have already said, Terminator's pretty outmatched in this movie. And so I think every time he's on screen with the T-100 or T-1000, what's it called? Is that
T-1000?
T-1000. Every time he's on screen with the T-1000, you're kind of nervous because obviously he's like a better, more advanced robot. And so I thought that was pretty cool. I thought the scientist conflict with the human aspect of like, you can't judge me on things I haven't even done yet.
Yeah. Right.
That was pretty interesting. And then he becomes a good guy and kind of becomes a little bit of a hero toward the end of the movie. I thought that was pretty cool. So there were several things going for it that I liked.
Well, there's the conflict at the very end of like, the Terminator's like, I must get rid of the chip in here or whatever.
Right.
And then like I was like, oh man, dang, like I don't want him to die either. Like he's this kid's father figure now.
Yeah.
And there was good conflict. Like
good stuff.
I was, because you were afraid of the T-1000, or just like stuff in general because this movie they weren't afraid to kill people.
Right.
So like right off the bat, the guy's just like killing a foster mom and dad real quick. They kill the scientist. They're not afraid to wound or kill people. And I was like, man, that for me that creates tensions in movies because you know a lot of times you go into a movie, you're like, oh, this person's not gonna die, or
Right.
whatever. And so it's like the tension leaves a room whenever you know that. And so this one, since they already kind of started off the bat, they're like, all right, we're gonna kill people.
Right.
That created a lot of tension and stuff, and then like the tension of not knowing how to kill the T-1000 because they just kind of blast like flower blooms of metal kind of onto them.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. It's just I mean it had a lot of the same tension and urgency and whatnot as the first one, but I think it did it in a better way. I'm gonna say.
I agree with that, for sure.
Yep.
10 out of 10.
Nope.
9 out of 10.
Yep. I gave it a 9. Just because of, like, yeah, for me, it has to be perfect in all sections, and it really wasn't. It lacked a little bit. I liked a lot of the conflict of them as a group, like, of the three of them, like, oh, no, we got to escape. Oh, no, we got to go kill the guy. No. You know, I like that. Obviously, the tension of, yeah, oh, crap, there's a Terminator coming to kill you. We have to do, you know, and then the urgency, kind of the same thing. So... But, like, yeah, they're kind of in the middle. It dipped a little bit. And so, back to the point.
No, yeah.
I think it gets a little slow in the middle. This one's a little bit longer than the first one.
Yeah, it's 2.5 hours, where I think the first one was, like...
Yeah, there was one point where I was like, holy cow.
It's a long one.
It was long. It was a little too long for me. That's kind of why I docked it down to an 8.
There you go.
Cinematic elements. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I said the stunts in this movie were amazing. The car chases, the crashes, the explosions, just some really, really, really cool, like, visually effective stuff.
It was also shot really well.
Yeah, when the semi-truck jumps off the bridge, I was like, holy.
That was awesome.
That was
and then it smacks into the bottom of that overpass and like turns into a convertible.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was awesome. The motorcycle chases were awesome.
Yep.
Soundtrack was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Like whenever he comes out of the bar, it's like playing "Bad to the Bone."
Bad to the Bone.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I said better CGI. There was some really cool CGI in this movie that wasn't there the first time. I already mentioned the first kind of opening scene with the giant robots and they're squishing the skulls and the laser beams and whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
That was much, much better. It looked almost the exact same, like shot for shot as the first movie, but it was so much crisper and just better looking.
Mm-hmm.
The robots were better looking. There are still some things in there that weren't great, like Luke said, the like blossoming flower that kind of exploded off of the guy's chest. That was kind of rough. The little like portal thing they added around like the guys whenever they like teleported back into time.
I thought that was cool because it cut out parts of like
I liked the fire.
and stuff.
I liked the fire part of it.
Yeah.
Like afterward, but like whenever they first showed it, it was like a cheesy like circle of light or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That kind of just looked bad. But like I said, 9 out of 10 is pretty great. Everything else was solid. The score, the writing, the acting, the guns and the shooting and the bullets, and I mean I thought the explosions, everything was great. So, solid.
Yeah. I really like I like the animation of the T-1000. Like I was very impressed by like the rigging and stuff that they went through. Like they weren't like rigging them up physically, but like the rigging animation wise they had to do for it. It was all pretty smooth.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the scenes they had one where he transformed while he was running. So they had the running metal animated T-1000 and then he animated back into himself, and it was almost pretty seamless. I was impressed by the animation in this movie for the time and everything. Obviously it was 91, it didn't look realistic, but they did a very good job with it. And like him like passing through stuff and then him turning his hand into swords. Like I thought cool. Everything felt, for the time, it felt pretty seamless, I think.
Yeah. Well, and that's why the budget was $100 million.
He looked like the Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
That's who he reminded me of. I was like, who does he look like?
Like a less polished Silver
It was
Surfer,
the
or less
Silver
defined, I
Surfer.
guess.
That's who it looked like, yeah. They did a great job of making him turn human and robot and kind of make that transition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, the sword things coming out were really cool. Even him like forming back together was done really well. Literally, the only thing that bothered me about him was whenever he got shot, like they like instead of like going in and like expanding this way, like he never like his body's like cut in half or whatever.
Yeah,
like, that looked cool.
Yeah, that was legit.
That was really cool. It was to me. It was those like really I don't know what you call them, but those were the only thing that really looked bad to me.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of have to, and this is getting too science nerdy. You just kind of, and bullets in general. You just kind of have to think about like what does a bullet look like when it hits metal?
Yeah.
So it kind of
Just like
mushrooms out like that.
Expands out. Yeah.
So that didn't bug me, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
Something else I
No,
really
they did a good
liked
job.
was the scene where Connor. I keep wanting to say John Carter.
terrible movie.
that other horrible movie, yeah.
John Connor, where he like hands Arnold the knife and he like cuts off and he
own
rips
arm
off
skin.
his skin. I was like, that was so cool.
Yeah.
Like,
And it didn't look cheesy like
No,
when he
it
cut out his
didn't.
eye and the other one.
I was like, wow.
You could tell his fingers were like a little fatter, like it was like a glove.
Yeah.
But literally, no, I thought it looked.
Okay, so there were
looked really
parts
cool.
at the end where after he had gotten his hand stuck in the gears, I think
Hmm.
you could see his jacket, like his arm, kind of hiding in there.
Yeah.
I was like, but like,
Nah,
so-
that's
I
good.
was like, that part irritated me a little bit, but I was like, I was very impressed overall.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I really like how this movie was shot. I thought the
Yeah.
grading of the movie was good, and like you could tell from the opening scene, I was like, wow, this is like in the 5 years since the first one, 5, 6 years.
7 or 8. Yeah.
I don't remember. I can't do the math that quick. This
Like
late.
you can tell like how much like stuff had advanced, and you're just
Yeah.
like, holy crap! Like because the first movie looks legit like an '80s movie or
Oh, yeah,
'70s whatever, and then this one it was like, dang, this could have been like made like early 2000s or something,
Yeah.
even still, or even
Definitely.
today. I'm like this looks good. There were some inconsistencies with the shots. Some looked really cinematic. The ones where he was getting lowered into the lava did not. It looked like I shot
Yeah.
those with like my old Canon camera, kind of.
I don't know if it had to do something with the heat or whatever.
Or
but those didn't.
the brightness,
I agree. Those didn't look.
There was some that
very-
were a little off. The shots in some parts were inconsistent. It's almost like they shot 'em with a different camera, but it was probably more the environment of the lighting and all this stuff.
right.
But no, what did I say? I gave it a 9. Yeah, I was impressed with this movie. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people said it kind of led the way, or not led the way, but it kind of changed things, animation and shooting stuff. So I was one of the impressed people for sure.
Yeah. One of my favorite shot effect scenes was the dry ice scene where he got frozen
That was so cool.
and like where like he's like is gradually freezing and like his foot breaks off and everything and then he like fully freezes and where he shoots him.
Yeah,
That looks so cool.
that was really
Blows
good.
them out in thousand pieces. Yeah.
I didn't know what that stuff was. I thought that was like
Him-
gasoline in the tanker.
No,
Him,
it's like
oh, it
it's
was,
dry ice.
It said
carbon
something. Yeah.
carbon monoxide.
Yeah. Something like
I-
that.
I
It
don't
said-
know.
it said
Whatever
on the-
dry ice is made out of.
That's
That's
my
what it
8th grade
is.
science teacher.
It said on the side of the car or on the side of the
The
truck.
semi.
Yeah.
They love using semis in these movies. I will tell you.
Yes,
what.
they do.
They really do. Because he used 1 in the first movie. They used 2 in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the chase scenes in this movie. Like I was so impressed with some of the stunts. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
And I really like
The guy like gets thrown out of the side of the semi, like on the highway. Like whenever he jumped, the cop. Like,
Oh,
jumps in,
yeah.
like pulls the driver out.
Mhm.
Like, that was a really cool stunt. Like there's just a lot of really, really well done stunts in this
Yeah.
movie.
The makeup was a whole lot better in this movie too. Like
Yeah,
whenever
definitely.
his face and all that. So yeah, 9. I haven't.
What was your
had it
score?
on my score list.
10.
10. Yeah.
Yeah. But I also really like one of my favorite is the iconic the song the soundtrack of the dun 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 dun. Like that's I still listen to that song and get goosebumps. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
super great to me.
Solid.
Well, what round up? What is our scores?
43.
Luke?
39.
Whoa.
Wow.
48.
Wow.
Nice. That's a high rated movie.
That's a 98 out of 100. The last two movies.
What was A Quiet Place last week? Was that also a
50?
50. Ah, that's right. Yeah, you get
Yeah.
tens across the board.
Yeah, dude.
So is this top 5 for you? Top 10?
I don't remember where I scored this movie, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in my top 5.
Okay.
This is definitely one of my... But again, I'm a huge action movie guy. I'm not very broad as far as like into like dramas and things like that. There are a few that I like, but I'm all action movie guy.
I get it, man.
So I love
can dig
like,
it.
and I've always, I don't know why, I've been into guns a lot. Like so, just when they go into a room full of guns, I'm just like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, ah, you know.
Yeah, and you're like in the first one
grenade.
where he's like, "You really know your stuff," and he's sitting there to give me the 9mm and
Yes.
Uzi 9mm, and he's like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
like-
you know your stuff."
Yeah. It's the
I love
same
when he
thing
grabs
for
the
me.
grenade launcher.
Yep, the little grenade launcher.
That was cool. I loved his grenade launcher. Yeah. That was really
sweet.
cool. Man, there's so many parts of this movie I was like, man, that was cool. This is one of the better actions movies I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a new movie, but like personally, the ones I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was good.
Um,
I don't know what I saw in the corner of my eye, but that freaked me out.
It's a ghost.
A roast.
So I only have a couple meta questions.
Okay.
I'd say I actually don't have any unless I
Oh,
can
really?
think of one off the
I only have a couple. One of them is, why do you think the rest of the franchise struggled when the first two clearly did
Different director.
really well? Is it just the director, or are there other problems?
I think this is one thing where you can go into more. Well, I don't know. I don't think you need to go in more detail in the Terminator stuff. I think they would have been fine leaving it at 2, stopping
Right.
at 2. Like, of course, it was a very successful couple of movies, so they're gonna try and get the money's worth out of it,
Cash in,
Right.
Yeah.
kind of cash in on it. But I think it was a combination of them kind of exhausting the idea
Yeah.
and James Cameron not directing,
I would agree.
directing and writing, I guess.
I can say, yeah, just having James Cameron not involved at all with 3, Salvation, and Genesis, I think as far as like story and idea and creatively, I think probably hurt it because, well, and the third one just looks bad. So
Is it Arnold in all of them?
he is not in Salvation, which is the one.
They have like a copy of a young him.
Yeah, there's like a nod to him, like the T-101, and it like is, yeah, it's supposed to be a copy, but they never really clearly show his face, and because it's not really Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
But excuse me. But I mean, they do have their moments. 3, I definitely say is just horrible. Salvation is cool because it's, set in the future, the 2029 again, let's say. It did have some really cool shots, some different type Terminators. Like there are these ones that like swim in the water that look like snake monster kind of things, and I was like, those things were creepy. So like,
Hate those.
yeah, I was like, I'm not getting in the water now. But like, so they had cool-ish ideas, and Genesis I liked because there were certain parts of Genesis, because it's all about Kyle Reese, and it's like shot for shot moments from the first Terminator. And they like just do shot for shot redos, and it looked well, and like things like that. So they had their moments, but I do think Dark Fate, just I can totally write off 3, Salvation, and Genesis. So like if I ever have kids and I'm wanting to show them these movies, I will show them 1, 2, and Dark Fate, and then say, here are these other ones if you want to watch them, but that's your choice.
Storyline.
Yeah, that's your choice.
Bonus feature.
Okay.
Where does this franchise rank in the top 5, top 10 franchises of all time?
Towards the back for me.
Yeah, it would be a 5 to 10 for me. More like 5 5, 6. But yeah, I if I really had the time to think about it, it probably would get maybe pushed down to more like 7, 8.
I was about to say I'm probably in 7 or 8 area.
It'd be hurting to crack my top 10 probably for me.
Now I'm curious to see what your top 10 franchises are.
That might be a good.
Star Wars.
We did a top 5 on it before.
Okay.
Did we?
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick.
Oh yeah, we did. You're right.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay. But yeah, it probably would be somewhere on the low of the top 10 for me.
Yeah, because there's
just
not...
because for it to be in a top 10 anything for me, like they all have to be good.
Right, and this one there's been so many bad ones.
Yeah.
But then, and so few good ones.
And
I
that's
guess.
why I have a feeling, and AJ kind of said this before you got here, Luke, that Dark Fate doesn't seem to be doing very well. And I could see that because people have just got kind of a bad taste in their mouth about Terminator sequels. So
that's like I was reading some of the box office scores today, and like it opened. I think it opened at number 1, but it did not perform well money wise. Like, which is a little disappointing because you want to see movies like from good franchises do well,
right,
or from franchises with good history.
Yeah.
Okay, so I could maybe find a spot for it at 10. I've got Lord of the Rings, Dark Knight, Star Wars, Pirates of the Caribbean, Indiana Jones, Jason Bourne, Sherlock Holmes, Iron Man, Avengers.
I'd say 007. I don't know. This might be top 15 for
up
me.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, if I had the time to, rather than just 30 seconds.
And that's lumping all of Star Wars together as one.
Because I enjoyed these movies a lot. I did.
Yeah.
I did too.
No doubt about that. I enjoyed them a lot. But
I just think it's really hard to compete with some of those.
Yeah.
And that's
especially
part of the
there's
reason,
only two out of what?
Yeah, that's part of the other reason is the percentages of good movies. So it's Marvel's made, 22 movies?
Yeah.
And 15 of them have been above average or like way above average.
Right.
Star Wars has made 10, 11, 12 movies. And 7 or 8 of them are above average or way above average.
Yeah, by comparison, this is not.
It's just hard.
Right.
They've made 6, and 2 of them are pretty stellar.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I think, to me, that's what hurts it more than anything else.
Okay.
Do you see a need for any more movies in the future?
No.
I haven't seen Dark Fate, so I don't really know.
I didn't see a need for
I don't
3, 4,
I
5.
Think the franchise could have ended with this movie, and I would have been.
I would agree.
Pleased.
Yeah, I would agree that it could have just ended and been fine.
I think people saw the $780 million or whatever that it made, and they're like, "Let's go,
squeeze out another 500 million."
Yeah. And I
don't blame him for it either, man. Shoot.
Yeah.
I may have to look up how much money the third one lost.
Yeah.
But so Jan and I were actually talking about this a little bit. I feel like they may have set up Dark Fate to do another one.
I mean, Arnold's getting up there in years. He's in his
But
70s.
I think the only way to make it work would be to not have Arnold in it. Because how many times can you
bring back the same robot?
Yeah, kill the robot in the movie before and then figure out a way to shove him into the next one.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Optimus Prime, man.
But like,
so I have Terminator 3's numbers if you guys want.
Oh yeah.
So
I want to see how much money
be
they
ready
lost.
to be surprised.
They actually made money.
Budget of 187 million. Box office 433 million. So about they doubled their money almost, or pretty much.
See, that's what I'm saying. People are greedy. It's a terrible movie, but it doubled its money.
Still made money.
Guess what its Rotten Tomato scores?
40.
75.
69.
Gosh, that just shows you Rotten Tomatoes, man.
What is this Metacritic?
Well, no, it's consistent across the board. IMDb's 6.3, and Metacritic 66.
Wow.
It's pretty consistent. Like,
and Metacritic
60,
only
whatever.
gave the second one a 70 something.
Is that crazy?
That's bananas.
Screw you, Metacritic.
Stupid.
Was that all we got for Terminator?
Where does James Cameron rank on the all-time writer-director?
We'll have to. That's a talk for another episode. I think that's hard.
I mean,
because I don't like Avatar movies, and so that
I don't either.
I'm not a huge
but
Avatar fan.
He's
cranked out some good movies.
I can say I'll give it up to the guy. He knows how to make a movie that will make money.
He does.
Like,
You're not wrong.
I mean, yeah, he's had some of the highest-grossing movies ever made.
He did Alien too, right?
He did Alien. Yeah, I think he did almost. Didn't he? I think he did all of the Alien franchise.
Titanic.
Did he do Prometheus?
I don't think so.
I don't think he did
I think
Prometheus.
I know he did Alien 1 and 2.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because then they had a bunch
But-
of like Alien versus Predator and all that
Yeah,
stuff,
he
which
didn't-
I really don't think he did those.
No. But I would not be surprised if he did more than just 1 and 2 of the Alien series. But
So
yeah.
he likes to come in, do 2 movies, and jet.
Hey man, it's not a bad
No doubt.
system.
Hey, that's what I'd
Like-
do. Make 2 movies in one
Yeah.
universe. And check out.
And just say, because it's probably a creative decision of like, look, yes, I've created a kick-ass universe, but should it continue? Probably not.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he's exhausted. He goes in, he does his stuff, and exhausts the ideas pretty much, and then
Yeah.
just like he's like, all right, that's
So
it.
is he top 5?
He's probably top
10. I don't
10
know
to
if I
15
would go,
for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't go 5.
That's about how I feel.
We need to do
10 or-
like
10 or
we need to
12.
do our top 15 directors at some point. That'd be cool.
It'd be a good. I think top 5 directors was on your little list that you
It's
have.
on mine, yeah.
Okay,
So we'll definitely get into that.
awesome. Is that all you guys got?
That's all I got.
That's all we got.
What's
bud.
our next movie?
Well, if we want to, and this is
Oh, it could
a
be Dark
big,
Fate.
if we want to, it could be Dark Fate. If we decide not to, which is perfectly fine with me. Let me look up what's on the slate here. If we didn't do that, it would be Sicario.
Okay, so prepare for either Dark Fate or Sicario. Either way, you got some movie watching to do.
Yep.
Because we're most likely gonna do one of them. So
Well, we got to do something.
or 2, or both. Who knows?
Hey.
We got all of November. This is the first episode of November, so
That's true.
we got time because we have Sicario, and then what is it? Blade Runner after that.
Sicario, Source Code, and then
Source
Blade Runner
Code,
at the
then
end of the
Blade Runner.
month.
That's right. So that is how many? Sicario, Source Code, Blade Runner,
And then
Thanksgiving's in there somewhere.
Dark Fate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have to do some scheduling, but
Yep.
that sounds good. So prepare for one of those movies, and
Yeah.
we'll catch you for episode 26. Thanks for listening to episode 25. We'll catch you next time.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Just a little bit. Those guys were a couple of wussies, huh?
That is literally one of my favorite movies ever. That's so underrated.
That's one of the best parts, too. Those guys were a couple of wussies, huh? Ah, crap.
I can't even beat a couple of guys in the street. What took you so long?
What took you so long?
I looked like a fool last night.
I look like a fool.
Don't even look like a movie.
I believe in science.
Oh my gosh. If we want to get 200 pesos. You mean 200 pesos? Aren't you tired of getting dirt kicked in your face? Don't you want a little taste of the glory? See what it tastes like.
And a punch to the face.
The punch to the face. The punch right to the face. But you cannot do it.
Can you do it?
In the Bible, thou shalt not wrestle your neighbor. Go away. Go read some books.
Read some books. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so the little kid that they got to play
Chancho.
Chancho, not Chancho, the little kid they got to play like young Nacho
Oh.
is like legit in a real movie somewhere that Kelly and I watched not that long ago. We like looked him up on IMDb and we're like, young Nacho, we were like, no way. It's like the fat kid from Nacho. Chancho.
Nacho.
He bought us some sweats.
Oh crap. We gotta talk about movies that we watched recently.
Bought us some sweats.
Take a look at my.
Are you leaving us? No, Chancho. I would never leave you. I just need to borrow some sweats. Oh, gosh. At one point in my life, I could quote that entire movie.
I know. I remember.
Literally, no.
The
Whole movie.
Everybody's headphones good?
Yes. There's a gypsy up the river. He says, eagle legs. Eagle legs? You crazy?
They give me no nutrients.
They give me no nutrient.
No no powers.
Those eggs when they lie, Stephen. They lie!
Ramses.
Ramses, how are you?
Alright.
Real douche. Well, he's a real douche.
Guy's a real douche.
Such a great movie.
Oh my!
I wish I'd been recording up until just this point.
Oh, I flippin' love that movie so much.
These are the Lord's cheaps.
I've had diarrhea since Easter.
I think my favorite part is it gets to that old guy and he's like, "This is the worst lunch I ever had."
Oh my god.
Okay.